All right, fam, let's get one thing straight. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to educate. Let's get this thing cracking.
Educate. You're the guy who still types www before you even put something on the Google search. Crazy.
Whatever, Bam. Whatever.
But yeah, so if you want to hear some hot takes on sports, dad jokes, relationship drama, pretty much a little bit of everything, you're in the right place. So father and son, struggling to get along with each other and, have the same viewpoints, which never kind of happens. Welcome to Everything from X to Y. I'm Bam. This is Pops, the gray nigga right there.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom right there.
Oh man, that's adorable. You have that shirt under your jersey like that. You're just like, I don't have this long sleeve under my because it's kind of hanging off a little
It's a
bit.
little chilly. It's a little. No, it ain't. It's perfectly tight. What you talking about? It is hanging off. Perfectly tight. Oh, and just so we ain't cracking. It's not just any shirt. It's a 49er shirt under a 49er shirt. So we good.
Okay. Well, I mean that's Debo. Is that Debo?
This is Debo. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The surest way to get anybody removed off the 49ers is to have me get their jersey because every time
A
I get a
thousand
jersey,
percent. I
within
agree.
2 years, they are gone. Within 2 seasons, they are gone. Really, within one because I had it last season was my first season with it, and he's
Yeah.
gone this season.
Same thing with me. I had Trey Lance gone, Debo gone. Like, yeah, that's how it usually works. But yeah, man. So I think I'm gonna, take over this episode today. It's a Bam takeover.
Oh, by the way, it's about time to go get a beard cut, just so you know. It's getting a little bit long.
You said beer.
Beard. Yeah,
Oh no,
you
no, I
look
don't cut my beard,
you,
sir.
you looking like
I'm a
Akbar. You looking like Akbar right now.
bro. You I mean, hey, if it doesndoesn't grow as much for you anymore, that's okay. You don't have to disrespect mine, Santa Claus. Look like a pink Santa. Want to hear that? All
All
right.
right. The Jets just took Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. 49ers are on the clock.
49ers
Pick,
on the clock, huh?
pick number 11 in the second round. Yep.
Okay. Well, the subject is not sports today. Today it is more, men and women involvement in the world. So, my first question for you, Pops, distracted Pops, do you believe in soulmates? That there's one person for everybody on the planet, even though there's more men than women. So, I mean, do you believe in soulmates? I'm sorry, more women than men. My bad.
Do I believe in soulmates? No,
Yes.
I do not believe in soulmates. I
Well, okay.
believe in soulmates based on what the world's definition of a soulmate is. Like you were saying, there's one person that's out there for you. That would suck. If there's only one person out there for everybody, that means everybody with the wrong person.
Right? You might
Because
be.
that one person might be in South Africa somewhere.
That's what I say. That's what I say. I agree. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I totally agree. One thing you do believe in though is marriage. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
I do believe in marriage.
You do believe in marriage
I do believe
wholeheartedly.
in marriage for sure.
You're like, let's not even date. Let's just go straight to the altar. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to get to know you. We're just gonna get married. Let's do it. I like you now. I like you later. We cool.
They
But
got hold on real quick. They got Julian Peterson out here making the announcement for the 49ers pick.
okay.
They're about to pick Shador Sanders. No, I'm just playing.
Oh my God, that would be
And
wild,
they're gonna turn him into a cornerback.
right? That's hilarious.
Another defensive lineman. They went from defensive tackle to DL defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Alfred Collins out of Texas.
Is he a defensive tackle or defensive end?
It just said DL.
Oh, just D lineman. Okay,
This
so he's
is D
probably
lineman. Yeah, so he's
yeah,
gonna
because
be
the
in the
guy we
middle.
got was a tackle or an end.
No, it was an end.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we
it was
probably got a tackle because we needed a tackle.
yeah.
But that's what we do. That's what we do.
Oh no, wait, so it does say DT, defensive tackle. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I knew it was going to be a tackle. That's
It
what we
just
need.
it started out just saying DL, but now it says DT.
Just got the notification.
Yeah.
43rd pick, Alfred Collins, Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
At least he's not from, Alabama State of, wherever the fuck. Like,
Sure, I
he's
got
from a
you.
notable college, so he was probably highly recruited and, probably has some talent. But yeah, so I agree with you, Pop.
Yeah.
I don't really, I don't believe in just there's one motherfucker because that's crazy. For one, there's more women than men. So
Mhm.
how is that possible?
Yeah.
You know, like that means that there's a bunch of women without a soulmate out there. You're just never gonna happen because there's not even enough niggas for you around. You know, so yes, I agree. That's finally we have something we agree on. All right. Yeah.
Well, but I do got a little bit more to add to that.
Okay.
Now, I do not agree with the 100% that there is one person out there for everybody, that version of a soulmate. But I do believe that you can find somebody that feels like they could be your soulmate.
That's what I say. That's what I say.
What I mean is just the way you guys click, the way you guys vibe, the way just, for instance, my wife and I, we've been together for 3.5 years now,
Oh, that's cute.
and we to this day have not had an argument. Had a couple of disagreements. We talk about it, but we have not had an argument where we've gotten angry at each other.
Sounds like you guys are lying to each
Three
other
and a half. Not lying
because
at all. Not lying at all. I promise you.
because
No
somebody
lies.
is holding back. Somebody want to cuss somebody out.
Nope.
You know.
Not at all. We made a whole bunch of agreements
Because
right when we first got married that we would talk about things right when they happen. For instance, a couple months ago, I said some things that was a little off, and I could see right away that it hurt her or did something to her. I didn't know what it was. So what I decided to do in relationships from this point on is like I'm not going to try to assume that I know why what I said or what I did hurt you, and then try to operate from that standpoint. I immediately stopped and said, "Hey, I can tell something I said, what I did, it bothered you." So instead of me assuming what it is and trying to apologize for something I think I did, why don't you tell me how what I said or what I did made you feel? She talked to me, told you about it. I came back with, well, this is where I was coming from. That wasn't so that's just kind of how we've communicated from day one.
that's good.
Being
That's
able to
good.
openly talk.
I'm just gonna apologize. I
Yeah.
don't care what it's for. I'm sorry. My bad. I fucked up. I fucked
But
up.
I
You know?
want to know why now. I want to know why. I want
Who
to know
cares
so
why?
that
It
way
doesn't
I can
matter.
prevent
What's
from
that
doing
gonna
it
do?
again.
Are we cool now? Are we cool? All right, cool. We cool. Why? Like we good, right? Okay, we
That's
good.
that's
Yeah.
that's why I got the wisdom right here. I learned. I learned. I
Oh,
learned.
that's why, huh?
Took me a while. Took me a minute, but I learned.
Look, here we go. Here we go. Now I'm in
We
trouble.
good. We
My
good.
apologies don't mean nothing. Because so my apology should mean something because I'm still apologizing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't give a fuck what it's for. I'm sorry for whatever I did to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. So
But if you're sorry that you're somebody's feelings, that means you're gonna try not to do it again. So you need
yeah,
to
of
know
course,
why. So you
of
need to know
course.
why. If you don't know why, then how you not gonna do it again?
Shutting the fuck up. If I shut the fuck up, I won't hurt your feelings. My bad.
That ain't gonna work either. That's gonna cause a whole other host of problems.
Yeah. It's working out fine. We're good. But um, but yeah, for me, I believe that, like you said, you can find somebody who will feel like they're your soulmate. So in essence, there's multiple soulmates.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There could be multiple. Like it's about somebody you click with. You can click with multiple people. That's like saying there's only one best friend for you out there. You can only have one friend because only you and that one friend are going to be able to be friends. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it's
I hear
yeah.
you. I feel you.
Just my opinion. Does Valerie believe in soulmates? Do you know?
No, she does not, but she does operate from there's another one called a twin flame, but there's not but a twin flame, there's not just
That
one.
was a cult.
Huh?
That was a cult.
I
Twin
know, but I'm
flames
saying
were
there's a thing called a twin flame, which is similar. In other words, you vibe like a soulmate, but there's not just one. Like you could have a twin flame and you could be with them 15 years and they could hurt you and be gone, and you could find another one 2 years later. It just means
there's a
like
bunch of
somehow I
flames
was
out
saying
there.
how they just
Bunch
vibe
of
together.
flames.
Yeah. What's that?
Twin flames, triplet flames, and quad. All that. Yeah, okay. Octo flames. But but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. So my next one for you, Pop. My next one is chivalry dead, and why? Why or why not? I should say.
Mm, what's your thoughts first? Let me get your thoughts.
Okay, so I don't think chivalry's dead, but I think it's not as common, and for me, I feel like just because of the culture we live in now there's people who literally talk to each other for months online before they even meet in person. You know what I'm saying? And so like I don't know. Like I feel like it's just a lot less common because people don't meet each other traditionally anymore. Nothing's really traditional anymore. So kind of chivalry is kind of here and there. You can kind of find stuff that's kind of chivalrous, you know,
Hmm.
because I mean some of the young women today think chivalry is pay my bills and you know, like
Yeah.
they don't understand the basic commonality, you know, just the basic, the basics of chivalry, you know, just opening doors and being kind and just normal things. It's not always about a monetary or a physical thing. Oh, he's a gentleman because he bought me this. Like, I don't know.
Because you bought it. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
the
Like,
chivalry has
he's such a
zero to do
gentleman.
with zero
Exactly.
to do
You know,
with monetary. Yeah, you
yeah,
know.
so I
Yeah.
feel like, of course, if you're talking the older generation, like the oldest generation, and you know what I'm saying, like a little more chivalry, even in mine, there's still some, but when you get down to the younger, the 20s and stuff, it becomes a little different because there's, like I said, the way you meet people, the younger people meet people now and everything, it's not even
Mhm.
really the same. Like, like it's not really, men are going to just pick up girls. Oh, meet me at this time. I'll be there to pick you up, and I'm going to open the door for you. I'm going to bring you flowers, and it's like, hey, meet me at Starbucks.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Meet me at Starbucks. Oh, and by the way, you buying my coffee and my sandwich.
exactly. Meet me at Chick-fil-A, and if you can't pay for my nails to get done before we go to Chick-fil-A, I don't want you. So, I mean, I believe it can be, alive, but I mean, women have to kind of, I guess demand it more,
Hmm.
because I mean, if you allow men to just, only, give you half-ass fucking, commitment and half-ass, dating style, then, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be half-ass. So I feel like, sometimes women need to kind of, I guess, ask for a little bit more, and then also the young guys need to understand that they're okay for asking for that, but also, if you meet a girl online and you see she got her ass out online, and then y'all meet up in person, but you probably ain't really going to open the door for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I open the door for somebody that had their ass out on Instagram for everybody? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? Like that I'm opening the door so I can see the ass later. Why would I open the door and I already saw it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't. Like, I'm trying to be chivalrous because I'm trying to, eventually get to that point. But I mean, your OnlyFans is in your bio. Like, like everybody else, pay $3 to see what I got to be chivalrous for. Wild. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, I get it. I
you
get it.
get what I'm saying? I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I get
know.
what you're saying.
People are gonna hate
So
me, but it's fine. I don't care.
from my standpoint, it's like, I mean, we've actually changed what chivalry means.
Yeah,
Chivalry really, back when it was created, was really just about being loyal, and it was about protecting those that were weak, especially women. That's what chivalry
yeah,
was. You protected a woman that was chivalrous.
yes,
We've now since romanticized it into opening doors, buying
yes,
cards, buying flowers, doing all that stuff. And so, just like anything else, over time it's going to morph. So
yes,
now it's morphed in because most girls in their, I'll say in their early 30s and their 20s nowadays, they don't even care about that.
yeah,
Yeah, they would rather just have, like you said, pay all their bills, buy their stuff, and they'll open their own door.
right.
Because it used to be like you could be chivalrous or romantic or a gentleman, and that would help you keep a woman. Like
Yeah,
that part don't matter anymore because if you're not paying their bills, you're not doing, doing all things that are expected financially, all the rest of that shit don't matter,
yeah, that's true. That's
anymore.
true. It's
So
not if you open my door, motherfucker.
yeah,
Like,
it's like
yeah, I
yeah,
feel you.
I don't know about the dead part. It's just changed. It's different.
Yeah. Okay.
Expectations are different, and
They are.
there's a lot of reasons for the expectation to be different. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole world is different.
Well, that's what I said. I feel like social media and things like that, like women see other women online dating men who have money and doing these things for them. I want that too. And
Hmm.
it's just like, like, and
But I don't want to bring nothing to the table with it. I just
yeah,
want
exactly.
you.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Like, I don't even really look good, but man,
Mhm.
you treat me like this, Like, when you got this girl on Instagram who fucking works out every day and hangs around rich men, and,
Mhm.
the chick who fucking lives around the corner who's fat and doesn't do anything all day, lives with her mom, is like, treat me good. You need to
Exactly.
treat me this way, like, and I mean, for me it's the same thing with men. Like, men are expecting women to look a certain way and do a bunch of stuff for them, and you know what I'm saying, and do,
Mhm.
but like, bro, what, you don't do anything. Like, you also live at home with your mother, and you work a part-time job, and like, you can't really even provide anything for a woman, and you want her to look this way and act
Mhm.
this way and do all this stuff for you, cook dinner, and like, so I agree that on both sides it's kind of declined,
Yeah, everything. Well, just
like,
expectations have changed, and the funny thing is, most of the expectations that some guys, I won't say all guys, but some guys are wanting out of women from what they see online, Instagram, and and all this kind of stuff is way too far to expect, from the average girl. And then what women are wanting from men financially is way too much to expect,
yeah, especially in
because
today's world market.
when if you have a woman, a wife, girlfriend, whatever, that wants like to go on multiple vacations per year, they want to live in a nice house, they want you to go out to dinner all the time, they want to go on some weekend getaways, they want you to get them that Louis purse, they want you to buy them jewelry. Like, in order to do that in Southern California, dude, a mortgage on an average house of like seven to $800,000 is $5,000 a month.
Yeah,
So in order to do that stuff, you're
you
looking
got to
for a
have
man
money,
that's making $200,000 to $300,000 a year.
which is a
That's like
small
five
percentage.
percent. That's
Yeah,
like 5%. And
yeah,
then for the guys that are looking for women that look like those Instagram models and all that kind of stuff, that's 5%. So we got 95% of the world on both sides looking for 5%.
yeah. And then we wonder why you have all these cases or situations where all these celebrities are, have multiple women and things
Mhm.
like that, because sometimes a lot of these women don't care, because they're like, I would rather have a man that already has a woman that's able to take care of both of us than to have a man that's just mine that can't,
Can't even
take care for
can't
me.
even provide for my needs.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be girlfriend number 4 as long as I get the same treatment, or get
Yeah.
get similar treatment. It's wild. Like,
Yeah. And I also think it has a lot to do with where you meet in life. So if you find the person that you love, love of your life, and you guys vibe, and you're 19, 20 years old, and y'all get married young, that's different. You're not gonna have all that stuff you want right there. That man's not gonna be making that money. You guys grow together, you build it together, But now if you're waiting until you're in your late 20s and early 30s, now you're expecting to get somebody who's a little bit more established, who's more mature. So you're expecting that stuff. So it does also depend on when you find that person in your life, or
True.
when you're looking, or when you find yourself looking.
Well, see, for me, that's what it is, because men
Mhm.
usually don't get to that point until they're in their 30s or so.
Mhm.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, usually men, it's very rare that a man is, early 20s and he's already established and set. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think that's where it kind of messes up, because, usually, like I said, men are usually based on the money that they make, and women are usually based on how attractive they are. And so it's kind of like you have to find a happy medium, because as you get older, the woman's going to get less attractive. But as a man gets older, he's going to get more money.
Mhm.
So, you know what I'm saying? And that's why usually you have these men with a lot of money who date these young girls, because they're looking for a young, attractive woman. And
Yeah.
so,
Because when
that,
I was young, you didn't have no money. I couldn't get that attractive woman. So now I have
exactly.
it. So
Yes, but then also
yeah.
the younger girls, they can get a man with money at
Mhm.
19, 20 years old. And
Yeah.
so, a woman, at 19, 20, 21 could be in rooms with billionaires and millionaires at that young age. You know how long it would take for a man to be in rooms with millionaires and billionaires that don't have no money? Like,
Yeah.
he has to get to that point, and that's going to take him to 30s and 40s to get to that point, and now he could be in those rooms. And so, yeah, like, that's where it misses at. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. That's a good one. A good one. I got another one for you, pops. Okay. On to the next. So,
Hold on one sec. Our rivals in the NFC West are about to put in a pick, the Rams.
oh, okay.
Let's see who they got out there. I can't even see who that is. They took a tight end. All right, good. They took a tight end out of Oregon.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, tight
Nothing
end.
too crazy.
All right. All right. What's up next, man?
All right. So, next question. Something real simple and small.
Hmm.
Who's I know normally it's supposed to be the man's responsibility. Whose responsibility is it to put the toilet seat up or down? Look, is that chivalry? If the man puts the toilet seat down, is that chivalrous? You know?
I can tell you there's one simple answer, and it's the only answer.
Whoever used it.
The person, no, whoever's going to use the bathroom right now, that's whose responsibility it is to put.
Thank you. I agree. Hey, if you're using it
Because
right now and you got to put it down, put it down.
Yep. So the
I got to come
question
lift it
is,
up.
you just need to, whoever is having the issue, just ask themselves, would you rather sit in a seat that's not down and like fall into the toilet a little bit, or sit on pee? Because you're gonna get one or the other. Because if you want me to put the seat up and put it down, yeah. So if you want to put it down, I'm gonna leave it down. So I ain't gotta put it down.
Agreed.
So it's like
Totally
as long as
agreed.
we put it up so you don't sit and pee, you make sure you sit it down before you put it down before you use it if I forget.
For sure. Okay.
Now I'm gonna
Okay.
try to remember, but if I forget, just you got to put it down. You got to check before you sit down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, that was real simple, quick to the point. We both agreed. That was really easy to get to. I thought you were gonna, because you're a woman sympathizer, so I thought you were gonna be more on the woman side. You know what I'm saying?
Why would you say I'm a woman sympathizer? Where did you get that from?
You're a woman sympathizer. Whatever she wants. I'm messing with you, Bob. Um, um,
There's
but
Mo at. No, I'm
uh,
just saying.
he said remote. She's right here. She can hear
I
me.
know she
She's right
is.
here.
I know she is.
She's
I'm just
right here. Every time we record, it's usually right here. You know.
make sure you ain't saying nothing crazy.
That's neither here nor there. It's because we like to be around each other, and I love her. So, but all right. Next question. Would you want to be, if you could, a stay-at-home husband?
Well, so all right. I mean, everybody would love not to have to work. So I'm just gonna put that out there right now. Everybody would love not to have to work.
Yeah.
I mean, people still will work when they don't have to because you just want to get out there and do something. But everybody would love to not to have to work. So
Hmm.
to me, would I want to be a stay-at-home husband? It depends on why. Is it because I can't get a job? Is it because my wife, make $300,000 a
So,
year?
for
That's her
example,
career,
here
and
we
she
go. Here
really.
we go. I got you.
Mhm.
For example, let's
Okay.
just say, hypothetically,
Hmm.
somebody came to you and was like, "Hey, I'm going to give one of you guys a job that'll be able to support the other one. Who wants to take the job?" You know what I'm saying? Let's just say
Hmm.
it's a simple. You and Valley both pretty much do the same thing. Let's
Okay.
say it was one of your jobs, and they're going to pay you enough for both of you, one of you guys, to not have to work,
Hmm.
and you have to choose which one is not going to have to work. Would you want to be you, or would you rather you go to work and let Valerie stay
Oh
home?
no, I'm going to work for sure. I'm going to work 100%.
Okay. Now, is that because is that like a because you're the man and you feel like you have to do that, or is it because you're like you don't want her to work? And is it, what is the reasoning behind it? Why?
There's a lot of different reasonings. First of all, I do like the feeling of being able to support my wife. I like the feeling. It makes me feel good. Regardless of if she wants it or not. Like if my wife makes more money than me, I'm still going to be the one that pays for things when we go out, goes to the movies. I'm going to, pay for everything that's within my ability to pay for it because I enjoy it. That's what I like to do. Also, I don't want to sit around the house all the time. Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Um, and I enjoy the sense of accomplishment that I get from work. So if it's a job that I like to do, I like the sense of accomplishment I get. I don't want to sit around and do nothing. Because when I say sit around and do nothing, because that's kind of what you think of when you think of stay-at-home dad. They're staying home. Now, you can be a stay-at-home dad that kind of gets out there and does stuff. Maybe you're out there, coaching little league, supporting some youth groups, doing that kind of stuff, in your spare time. That's a little bit different. But from what you think of the definition of a stay-at-home dad that just stays home, and you got to remember, I'm also and older, so I'm just going to be a stay-at-home husband because I'm not going to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't have no kids,
Yeah, I got
in
you.
that age. So I'm definitely going to have something to do. But I would much rather prefer to go to work.
I agree. We're in a lot of agreements today
Yeah.
because I totally agree. If it was up to me, I'd go to work and she wouldn't have to work. And personally, I feel like just inherently in us, I feel like most men would rather work, and I feel like most women would rather stay home.
Hmm.
Like if you ask women that, a woman's gonna be like, "I'd rather stay home." Like, I'd rather him go to work. Majority of women, not saying all women, because some women enjoy working and they want to go work. But I'm just saying, as men, I feel like most of us feel that way. I would rather be the one to go to work. And, because I would not feel right sitting at home and allowing her to go to work every day. And I'm here taking care of the house and she bringing home the bacon. Nah.
Yeah, like I say, it's just different situation because like you could have a woman that's a doctor you
I
know.
don't care.
And no, I'm just saying that she's a doctor, and so that's her career. That's like she doesn't want to not do that. That's so if only one of us can go to work, and that's like her passion, her love, she enjoys doing that, and she's not gonna feel a certain way because I'm not having to go do it. Different situation,
See me,
but
for me,
I
I
would
don't
still have to get
think
out and do something.
exactly. I don't think I could be in a relationship like that. I don't know if I could be the guy that sits at home, even my woman is a doctor or whatever. And like because that's the thing is that when I say stay at home, that means you can't really go do anything else. Because you need to clean the house, you need to wash the clothes, you need to wash the dishes, you need to basically take care of the home front. And so there is no you having a side job or a side
Mhm.
hustle. That's my point. You can't go to work. There's no side hustle, side job. You are 100% stay at home husband, and you go grocery shopping. You do all the shit around the house that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? And
But I
that's what.
can do all that and work. That's the thing. We
But no,
can
no, no,
do
no,
it
no,
now.
no, 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 you can't. Like, there's only
I get.
people say there's
I
24
understand.
hours
And
a day.
you're
There's
putting out a situation there that's not very likely, but just saying, what's the feeling of it? Because yeah,
well, yeah.
because
Well,
anybody
it's
can
not
find
very
time to
likely
work or
for a
do stuff.
man, but it is
Mhm.
likely for women. There's stay-at-home
Mhm.
wives all around the
Yeah,
world, like who stay at home and take care of everything every day, and
yeah,
like you
but
said, sometimes kids involved.
that percentage nowadays is super low because
It
it's
is.
too damn expensive.
It is. You're completely right. Especially in California.
Yeah,
Like especially.
yeah,
So I totally agree. But I'm just saying, like it's
yeah.
it's more common for women to be able to do that. And like I said, some like you said, some do have kids, so there isn't really going to get a job because you got to take care of the kids. You got housework to do, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so yeah, but I agree. I couldn't be a house husband. I
Yeah,
couldn't do
but yeah, it's just so I mean, shoot, it's hard to operate now. Even with two incomes, it's hard to get by. So
it. Yeah,
yeah.
that is definitely true. So okay, 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 okay. Um, all right. So I got another one. This one's going to be a little controversial. You know, do you believe that there should be a double standard or not be a double standard when it comes to men and women sexually? And their sexual promiscuity. Do you believe that there should be a double standard or not, and why?
So I do not believe that there should be a double standard.
Okay, why?
But when I say that there shouldn't be a double standard, what I mean is you should not expect more out of someone else than what you're willing to do. So if you're a guy and you out there being a hoe, don't come around now you're 30 and all of a sudden you want to find a virgin. Vice versa. you know that's what I'm saying. You should want what you're giving out. So if you have, now if you're a guy that's in, if you're a guy from the beginnings in committed relationships, oh, I was in a relationship for a couple of years, didn't work out, oh, I got another relationship, didn't work out, so you've been looking for a long relationship, then you can expect more out of that woman that you look for, because that's how you're operating in your life. But if you go on the other route, it kills me with the guys that be out there just wanting to be with everybody they can be with, but then want a virgin when they 30, 32 years old. It's like, well, you done been with all of them. How there gonna be any virgins left?
Yeah. Okay. 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 That's cool. Um. So for me, I believe there's other factors that would go into that. So,
Mhm.
for example, like you said, if a man's been out there doing that and stuff like that, what changes the fact of what he can ask for if he has money. So if this man has money and can take care of a woman, he can ask for whatever he wants. He can be like, hey, this is my standards. This is what I want. And most likely, if he's taking care of everything, the woman's going to go along with it. She doesn't care that he's been with, freaking 200 women in his life. He has money. He's going to take care of me. I'm going to go do it. Now, and vice versa, it's not going to work that way. A man doesn't care if a woman, makes, $200,000 a year.
Hold on, what's that, Cam? Hold on.
Hey, Cam.
What up, Val? Got you. So for me, like I said, money changes that. So if you ask, a man, would you rather have, a woman who just has a normal job, but she's only been with, a few men, and or a woman who has been with a bunch of men, but she has a fire job and makes a bunch of money? He's most likely going to choose the woman who has a basic job and hasn't been with that many men. Like that's a majority of men would choose. But in the other way around, if you ask a woman the same thing, do you want a man who works a normal job and you got to work too and y'all going 50-50, but he's only been with a couple women, or you want the dude who has money and can take care of you, but he's been with 100 women? They're going to choose a man with money who's been with 100 women. And so for me,
Hmm.
that's why the double standard exists and why it should exist, because men and women are judged on different things. And so that's my point. Like you could survey 100 women, and I guarantee 96 of them are going to be like, I'm going to take the man who has the good job and can take care of me. I don't care how many women he's been with, But it's going to be the opposite for men, you
And
know.
and I think that number is going to move based on the age of the women that you're asking too.
Yes,
It's going to
yeah.
change based on the age of the women. You're asking girls in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. That number is going to move, the other direction as they get older. Um,
maybe a little, but not by a lot. Because even you can have a 60-year-old woman and you ask her the same thing. Do you want a man who can take care of you, but he's been with a bunch of women? She's
if
gonna be like, I
she's
want the man that can
Dude,
take care of me.
by the time she's 60 years old, she's not caring about somebody taking care. She done been through. If she's 60 years old and looking for a man, she done been through some ish, and she
Yeah,
just wants peace. She just
yeah.
wants peace.
even
She
even
want
if
a
she
man and she
even
want
if
peace.
she wants peace, if she has the choice of a man who can take her on vacations and
Hmm.
can do these things, she's gonna choose that man who can do that.
But
The amount of
that's
women,
not going
yeah,
to be peace for her because that man is also going to be having sex with other women
no,
because
no, 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 that's not what
you're
I'm
not
saying.
guaranteeing that they're
I'm
going to be
not
faithful
saying
just
I'm
because they're
not. Yeah,
making money.
exactly. So I'm not saying that this man's going to be some cheater. I'm saying he's now ready to settle down. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? He's not going to be a cheater. He's going to be a good guy to you because he wants to be with you. She's going to choose the man with the money.
Hmm.
Like, and if we even if we went that direction, now if we said that, if you want, would you rather have a man who was broke and faithful or a man who was rich and cheating on you? Then those numbers would change. Because then
Hmm.
you're right. As they get older, the young woman's gonna be like, "I'll take the man with the money that's cheating." But the older woman, like you said, will probably want peace, and she'll choose the man that is broke but is gonna be faithful to her. Now, but I'm just talking about as in, like I said, like marriage, and you want to marry this person, and this person you're gonna be with, and they're both gonna be faithful. Both of these men will be faithful, but there's one that's been with a bunch of women at one point, in their life, you know what I'm saying, and the other one who hasn't been with very many women, and so even the adverse with the women. So there's a man who they're both gonna they're there's a woman, they're both gonna be faithful to the man. They're both gonna be faithful to you. She's only been with 2 guys in her life. This woman's been with 100 guys in her life. She makes a bunch of money. She doesn't really make that much money. Which one are you gonna choose? He's gonna choose this woman over here every time. Like, you
I
know
mean,
what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but when you're operating from a standpoint of like 2%. Like the people on both sides that you're saying will make these choices are looking for 2% of what's available. Like, what are the chances that a woman in her 30s is going to find a man that is I won't even say millionaire, he just makes a lot of money, he can do it, they can do whatever they want
Well,
for the
yeah,
money,
you're
and
right.
that's
But
not a
I'm just
problem.
saying
And
if.
you're going to find that, and you don't have to make a lot of money, you just have to be at home and he's going to be faithful, and he's going to be nice to you, he's going to give you peace it's like
Because this is what I'm saying. I'm just going to the.
you're
I'm
operating
just
from a
going.
standpoint of that's something that's not realistic.
But that's the thing, is that some men and some women are looking
Mhm.
for these unrealistic things, which you're right. I agree. But I'm just saying, if you could find those things. So if you
Mhm.
told a woman you can find those things, we have a man right here that's going to be those things. Which one are you going to
Well,
choose?
I
Or
mean,
like I said,
okay, if you're allowed for from that story, if I could just make some fantasy person that's going to be exactly what I want,
yes.
well, of course everybody's going to go, yeah, of
So
course. I
so that
mean,
but that's what I'm saying. And so
yeah.
that's why the double standard exists, because the way that we're judged is off two different things. So like I said, a man is judged off what he can provide, and a woman is judged off her promiscuity and her
Mhm.
beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like how attractive are you, and are you a hoe? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Those are
It's
the
just hard for me to live up because I've never been like that, even from when I was a kid. Like it just doesn't, yeah, that doesn't.
Well, for example, I
It's
don't
hard.
think
It's
that
just
we go into
hard
it
for me to
like,
look
for
at the world
example,
from that standpoint.
like you don't go into it like that before.
Mhm.
Like I've, back in the day, I've asked the homies, like, what I'm saying, oh, met a girl or whatever. Oh, like, and somebody be like, oh, bro, the homie, was messing with her, or, whatever the case may be. You like, then that changes your whole viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like that'll change your whole viewpoint, or even if it wasn't the homie, just be like, bro, I know a few different dudes that have been with her. You know what I'm saying? And it was easy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's gonna change your whole viewpoint on this woman, immediately. And so now Now, do I think that if you told a woman that there's this guy and she met him and he's a provider, and then her friends are like, oh, there's a a few girls that I know that he's been with, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like, so what? Nigga taking care of me. Like, do I think the woman's gonna be like, I can't be with you because you were with two other girls at one point, or you were with five other girls at one point? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, like I
yeah.
said, once again, that's just hard for me to because I haven't operated from that standpoint,
Yeah,
but
no, and I understand.
know,
I
so
I totally get it, and
it
that's the thing
doesn't.
is, I don't think we choose to operate from that standpoint. Like I don't think we choose. Like we're I've never asked a woman, hey, how many on the first date? How many men have you been with?
Mhm.
No, it's not like that. Because I mean, honestly, in real life, you really don't know how many men your woman has been with because you're probably not going to have that conversation. Most people don't. Most people ain't having those kind of conversations. Give me your number. Because you know what I'm saying. So but even boiling down to even just not even the money or anything else involved, like it's really difficult for a man to sleep with multiple women in a week. We'll say if a man's like, I want to sleep with a different woman every night for 7 days straight. You know what I'm saying? That is going to be a really difficult task for a man to accomplish.
Well,
And I'm talking
that
about
used to
random
be a
women,
difficult task. It's a
huh?
lot easier now because you got apps. You got hookup
Well,
apps.
true. Even if you have, no, you're right. You do have apps. I understand that. But and that's a even then though. Even then, we said every night. So of course, if you're not paying for it or anything like that, and it's just you have to talk to this woman even on this app, you
Mhm.
you can ask men that are on Tinder and shit like that. They ain't getting played like that. It ain't every night they got a new woman coming over from Tinder.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
from then it depends on what they look like, because
Well,
that's the first thing you look at, look
mhm.
at on there. So
Well, true.
yeah,
But even then, I think
but
even the most attractive man, you know what I'm saying, isn't going to be able to just get on some website and get a different woman every single night. It'll be very difficult. If he did, I'd
yeah.
be impressed. But adverse, a woman can easily go get on an app. Oh, even if it's not, even if back in the 90s before apps,
Hmm.
they could go out to a club or to a bar each night, the same club in the same bar, and find a man to sleep with him, even if the man knows that she was with the other guy the other night. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants something, And so that's what I mean by the double standard, because it's way too easy. It's not an accomplishment of any kind
Hmm.
for a woman to sleep with a bunch of men. But as a man, the difficult and the stuff you gotta say, and even if it gets down to probably gotta spend some money and go take her on a date and do this and do that, it's going to be a lot more difficult for a man to do that. And so
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that.
that's why I agree with
Yeah.
the double standard, because for a woman to be like, oh, because for me it says more about a woman's character than it does about the men she was with. It says more about her character. Like, bruh, of course you. What is it saying that you were able to go sleep with those men? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You could just tell. You could put on your Facebook, who want to come over and sleep with me, and you gonna have 20 dudes in your comments. I'm on my way. Like, if a man does that, he's gonna be a pervert and a creep, and they're gonna be like, ugh, And so, and I mean, it's not saying anything that it's just. I mean, men are easy. Men are not that difficult. Which is sad, but that's
I get what
it's
you're saying.
the world we live in.
I still don't agree with it. I understand why you're saying it's there,
Yeah,
but I don't agree with it.
you don't agree with it.
Don't agree with
Okay.
it at all. Yeah.
And because I'm not even talking about just once. I'm just talking about as in even like you said, you were saying at first that you can't be a man that's done this for your whole life and then want this and want
Hmm.
that. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's just more of down to just the bare minimum
Hmm.
of how easy it is, and inherently you can go a man can get multiple women, could get 50 women pregnant, you know what I'm saying, in a month. you know but a woman can only get pregnant once, by a man one time, and
Hmm.
so it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of little things that I feel like there's a reason for the double standard, to where, just like I said, just like in the double standard of women are allowed to be broke and they're not classified as broke. But a man can't be broke. He's classified as a broke nigga. He ain't got nothing. But so that's where the difference comes in. A
Hmm.
man needs to have money and a woman needs to keep her legs closed. Those are the two basic things, when it comes to men and women, when you're talking about choosing. Because a man wants a woman who hasn't been that promiscuous, and a woman wants a man who's going to be able to provide. So if that's the case, there's a double standard for men, when it comes to having money. A woman don't have to have no money. There a woman doesn't have to have money. She could be beautiful and she could get a man with some money to take care of her. She never even has to go to work a day in her life. If you meet the man at the right time, like some of these women who maybe like Patrick Mahomes' wife, she met this nigga in high school, probably ain't really had to work a day in her life because he went to the NFL and has money. She don't have to worry about that. That doesn't happen for men very often. It's not often that a man's going to find a woman that's going to take care and provide for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why the double standard exists. Yeah. Women need to keep their legs closed. Men need to go get some money.
I mean, it just all depends on where are you operating from, because if you want, I don't know how deep you want to go with this, but the double standard is only there because the world has changed.
Well, yeah, because back in the day, women didn't go out and sleep with a bunch of men. It was really about a man finding a virgin, and
because you got married when you were pretty young. You were the man. You went out work. The wife did stay home and take care of the house. That's what she did. Stayed at home, took care of the kids. That was her job. But the expectations on the man weren't as high back then. Like, that wife was not expecting to go on multiple vacations per year. She wasn't expecting to get new clothes, every couple of months. She wasn't expecting to go out to dinner, 3 times a week, go out on weekend getaways. It was about the family in the home.
Yeah, making sure the bills are paid.
You go out to your job 8 to 5. You come home. You get your house when you're 20s. You stay in that house. It's paid off when you're 50. Now you got your house that you live in for the rest of your life. The world was just much more simple. It was much more easy so it's just the double standard is there because the world has changed.
But it was still the same concept. It was still a man needs to provide whatever the time calls for providing, and a woman needs to. What I'm saying is,
but back then, it was a man was looked more frowned upon for if he was a hoe out in the streets than he is now. I guess that's what I'm saying about the double standard. It's moved in there because we've made it a
I don't think men were really judged that bad back in the day just because they were with women when they were younger. Like, because like you said, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think men were judged that way at any point in history. Like, I don't think men
I tell you right now, guys who had multiple girlfriends, who had girlfriends all the time when I was in high school in the 80s, were looked out badly.
Well, that's different badly now, because that's not just sleeping with women. That's having multiple girlfriends.
When I say girlfriends,
that's lying.
It was hard to have sex with women in high school back then. That was not an easy thing. It's easy.
I know it was. You're right.
But I guess what I'm saying, the point that I'm coming from is that the view has changed. The view on a man is not. The more women that people knew you had been with, it was harder for you to get another woman back in the 80s.
Not if you had money.
I'm talking, Cam. We're talking.
I'm just saying.
Nobody in their 20s, nobody in their teens has money.
Okay.
So we're talking about a double standard. We're talking. See, you're bringing money into it.
Okay.
The question was, do you believe in the double standard when it comes?
Okay. So just at the basics of
promiscuity.
So
just from that standpoint.
So for example,
men are looked at harder. Were looked at harder in the past if they had been with multiple women than they are now.
So even back then, I would say, do I think that if a man asked a woman to marry him back in those days and the woman knew he had been with multiple women, she's going to say no? Like, no, you've been with too many women. I can't marry you. I don't know about that. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean because the double standard breaks down to marriage, because that's what I'm talking about. Like, the double standard is because these women are sleeping with a bunch of men and then they expect to find a husband later on in life. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where it comes. That's my whole point. And or a man who wants to get a wife that's going to be a stay-at-home wife and do all this stuff, but he ain't got no money. So it's the same. That's what I mean, is that the double standard is boiled down to marriage. Like, are you going to marry a woman?
See, that's another thing. That's where you keep on taking your original question and adding more stuff onto it. You didn't say, should the double standard be in place like when you're looking for a marriage mate? You just said, should there be a double standard between how we view women who have been with multiple, been with 100 men versus how we view a man that's been with 100 men?
I agree. I agree. But I agree. Okay, I'll give you that. So even in that, so the way at any time in history, I feel like the way a man was judged for being with 100 women is different than the way a woman was judged for being with 100 men.
Yes,
and even back then,
but it's different now. But it's less now than it was back then. I guess what I'm saying, it's changed over time.
Yeah. Yeah, to a degree. And even on the other side, because there's some men today that don't really care how many men that
Yeah,
their women
that's right.
have been
Yeah.
with,
Mhm.
which is
It's all
crazy to me.
changed. Yeah.
That's wild to me. Like, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, I don't know. Like, because that's what I'm talking about. The double standard comes down to the work that a man, like I said, the work that a man has to put in is more difficult.
Mhm.
So when it comes down to the man putting in work, is he going to really want to put in work and be like, I'm going to take you out to dinner, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and try to impress you? Because that's what it is. Men just at the basic level are trying to impress the woman. So
Yeah.
why would you want to try to impress somebody and get, which, like I said, is going to boil down to sex at the end? A man wants sex. So he has to go through all these hoops to try to get this woman that another man didn't have to go through.
So
That's what
hold on,
he's.
hold on, hold on. Just because she been with multiple men, a whole bunch of men, doesn't mean that those other men didn't have to go through the same thing.
Well, yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
The reason why I say
I
that
mean,
is because,
so when you say a man has to go through all this stuff, you're so before he has sex, what are you talking? You talking about he had to wait 6 months? You talking about he got to wait a year? Or are you talking about he got to take her out for a couple of months, or and take her out to dinner and the movies so
well, I'm
what
saying
are we
usually I'm saying
operating from?
like a few months. A
Mhm.
few months.
Yeah.
A man has to wait a few months. And get to be able to be with this woman. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so like I said, I personally feel like it's
All right.
like
So would you consider this promiscuous? A woman from the age between the age of 18 and 30, so 12 years,
okay.
every year she was with two different men. So by the time you met her in 30, she was with 24 men.
Yes, that's promiscuous.
Okay. So what I'm saying is you're saying it's promiscuous. But
Yes.
what I'm saying is that you're saying like the man has to work. That woman could have made those same men work for 3 or 4 months to get it before they got it, and still been with 24 men over 2 years. And they still had to work to get it. They still had to be in a relationship with her to get it.
But I mean, but
So
they're in
I
a
guess
relationship
so that's what I'm
for
saying. There's
those are
why
6 month
are they
relationships.
what's
Those are
that?
6 month relationships. Each one of
Yeah.
those relationships would be 6 months.
Okay.
That's not
And
really is that really a
so
relationship?
6 months is a relationship. If you that's not, if that is the only person that you're with for
So,
six,
but then,
for
then I'm
six
gonna have to ask
months.
the question. I'm gonna be like,
Mhm.
who's leaving who? Because did this
Okay.
man leave you? Did you leave this man?
Mhm.
Because I'm like, if you 6 months and for 12 years, every 6 months you had a new man.
I mean,
Like
it could
so,
be 8 months and 4 months. Oh, this relationship ended up going bad early. This one has to lasted longer. But I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be right at 6 months. I'm just saying,
well, it
if they're
would
with
it
two
would have to
different
be
men
Bob.
every year
With
for
your numbers.
12
It would
years.
have to be. It
Mhm.
would have to be right at 6 months with your numbers because you
Yep.
said 2 men a year for 12 years, and
Yeah.
so pretty much
No,
would
because
have.
it could be 8 months with one man and 4 months, 4 months with the other. That's
That's even
still 12
worse.
months.
That's even worse.
I'm just saying.
That's even worse. Like so now I get what you're saying. Like these men had to work, but then like I said, after a while, like you said, like this man had to work in 3 months. It took him. That's another thing. So then, for example, like if they had to work for 3 months to actually be with this woman, then that means the relationship wasn't really. They didn't get in a relationship as soon as they met. You know what I'm saying? So that wouldn't even be
So you're saying
plausible.
you're not in a relationship until you have sex?
Almost. Well, I should say, you know what? I shouldn't say that. But what I'm saying is that you're not going to be in a relationship as soon as you meet somebody. Normally, it probably is going to take, depending on the age. If they're really
Mhm.
young, like you said, 18, it might take a month. But if you're in, like you said, in the 30s, it's going to take
Mhm.
this woman. You probably going to take you a year or so before you're actually in a full on relationship. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even 6 months. 6 months, 7, 8 months before you're in a full on relationship with this woman. Like it's not going to
Yeah,
be.
I guess we have to disagree on that one too, but
Well, yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, dude, like you got to get to know somebody,
but
and
you can be in a relationship with somebody and get to know them. You can't say I need to get to okay, now I know you, now we're in a relationship. You can be in a relationship and getting to know them while you're in a relationship.
that's deep, you know,
No,
like you know what I'm saying, like because like for example,
because
me,
to me,
me,
because to me, if I meet you, okay, now we done talk for a couple weeks, we go out on a date. Okay. If I like you, I'm gonna want to go on another date that week, maybe a
okay,
couple times. I want to see you a
y'all
couple times.
still
And
not
after
together.
I've done that for 3 weeks, I've been out with you 2 or 3 times for 3 weeks. Like we're dating. Okay, so are we? Is this like? Are you still dating other guys? Are we? Where are we at? Like I'm looking for some clarification. Like, are we moving towards something? Or so
Yeah,
I just like I said, it just all depends on where you're operating from.
yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
You
But
know,
like I said, I was just trying to boil it down to the, to the nitty gritty of, are you? I should have just said, would you want to marry a woman that's that promiscuous versus a woman marrying a man that's that promiscuous? And
yeah,
so,
nobody
like,
wants that.
no, exactly. So, and like, you know what I'm saying? Now there might
But
be some
that doesn't
women.
mean it's right because I mean there's a whole bunch of different reasons why. Well, first of all, the promiscuous is a different definition for every person. Like for you, two men a year for a woman, you're saying that's promiscuous. To me, I need to know the situation. I don't necessarily I think that's necessarily promiscuous. I need to know the situation. So it all depends on where you're coming from. So I guess we're just
Yeah,
gonna have to
yeah.
agree to disagree on certain points.
Yeah, true, true. Because like I said, today, a younger woman being promiscuous is probably going to be different than an older woman, like being promiscuous. I guess because, like you said, like in your situation, a majority of the time, the situation of women, dating this man or being with this man for this much time or whatever the case may be before they sleep with him and stuff is going to be an older woman. Usually, a younger woman, 19, 20 years old today, you can probably meet her at the club and sleep with her the same fucking night. You know what I'm saying? And not saying that didn't happen back in the day. I just feel like it probably happens more often today
Hmm.
than it did, back in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
Like, but then also you probably go back to the 70s and probably happen even more because the 70s was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the free love
It
era.
was
And so,
crazy.
like,
Yep. It
the
was
70s
crazy.
was probably more like it is today. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I feel like the 80s and 90s people kind of got a little more prude about shit.
Mhm.
And then now we're
Yeah.
back into more of the 70s era,
Well, and I think it was where because I think more it was like a big city thing back then, where now it's like nationwide as far as the hook like the hookup culture and all that kind of stuff. Like probably didn't see that as much unless it was your
Well,
cousin,
you're right. In
like in the
smaller towns, people probably met in high school, got
yeah.
married out of high school, and
But
yeah, true.
now, because everybody sees everything, like now the hookup culture is nationwide.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter where you are.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, so here we go. I'll
because
ask
you
you the
can meet
question.
anybody from
I'll
anywhere.
ask you the question.
Hmm.
Would you rather marry a woman who is, maybe on your level or a little lower with, financially, but she hasn't been with that many men, or a woman who's much higher financially than you are and has been with a bunch of men? And I'll say 100 men. A
Hmm.
woman who's been with 100 men, and but she makes, $200,000-300,000 a year, and she's willing to take care of you, and you don't have to work and all that. You know what I'm saying? Or a woman who's on your level. You guys are, which one?
I can't answer that because I'm operating from how I feel about that. Like neither one of those things come into a factor at all when to me when I'm
Let's
viewing
say
somebody in
let's
a
say you
relationship.
you feel the same way about both of them.
Hmm.
You feel the same way. Like we can say it's the same
Well, I
women.
feel exactly if I feel exactly the same way, then I'm going to take the one that has money and has been promiscuous. If I feel for him the same way, if I feel for him the same way, because that's where I'm operating from. So
Okay.
for,
Yeah.
as
See,
far
I
as
wouldn't.
far as mindset,
Like I'm gonna take the woman who has
yeah.
been with less men and probably just on my level. We both work.
Hmm.
We can. I'm probably not gonna take that woman who's got all that money, but she's been sleeping around forever. Like I don't know. Like because for me also that of course that goes into your personality and that goes into what type of person you are. And you know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is for me. It goes into what type of person you are, because I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't know. It's kind of different for me,
Hmm.
because like you said, like I don't know. Like I just feel like women operate on a different playing field. And so like the way that women view things is usually a lot more emotional and emotional connection and stuff. So I'm like,
Hmm.
if you're able to be able to sleep with somebody with no emotional connection as a woman like that, it's just like, oh shit, like that's scary because that means, you personality wise, you can turn on and off your emotions at a, like, and so I'd kind of be weary about that,
Yeah.
because then it goes into those kind of things,
Yeah, but you and I also, because we talked about this before, we operate from two different standpoints when it comes to is cheating on me the ultimate betrayal. In other words, you know, for you, you're like, yeah, that's the ultimate betrayal. Like we're done.
1,000%.
That's whatever. And for me, it's not. Like I don't operate. We need to talk. We need to figure out what's going on.
What is the ultimate betrayal for you then?
Ultimate betrayal is how you treat me. Do you treat me with respect? Do I treat you with respect and do I get that same treatment back? Do you make me feel comfortable to be around you? Am I able to be myself around you? If I'm not, like, or if you change and now I was able to be myself before, but now all of a sudden I can't anymore because something has changed. Do you stop believing in me? Or so for me, so for instance, you're a guy's with the girl, the guy's making a good amount of money. He's okay. Now he loses his job. He struggles for 9 months to a year to kind of get back on his feet. She decides to cheat because of that. That's the ultimate betrayal, not the cheating. Why you did it. Just because I was struggling for you, even though I was great, you didn't stick by me. You didn't want to be there for me while I was trying to get myself back. I wasn't sitting at home doing nothing. I'm trying to get back on my feet. Now you're gonna go cheat just because I went through a hard time. That's the ultimate betrayal to me.
Yeah, I feel you on that because I get what you're saying. It's not so you'd rather her cheat on you while you have it all together than you would when
I'm
you
just
don't have
saying
it.
that there's no say you rather or have not. What I'm
Okay.
saying is just the actual act of cheating is not the
Yeah.
ultimate betrayal. We need to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
need.
see
I need to know why.
now see the way now when the way you treat somebody like so for example, if you're not gonna leave somebody, just because they said, "Hey man, shut the fuck up." That's the way they treat you. It's gonna
Mhm.
take multiple occurrences for you to be like, "I'm out of here."
Mhm.
When it comes to cheating, that's a one time. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool. Like and
But the
so
why is not. The why is
yeah,
not a one-time
I
occurrence.
don't care
The
why you
act
did
is
it.
a
You did
one-time.
it. That act is what did it. Because I don't care
Yeah.
why you did it. You shouldn't have did it. I don't give a fuck about why. Like I understand you can give me every excuse in the book. It still shouldn't happen.
Hmm.
Like there is no who gives a fuck about the why. Like because then it turns into when it's usually going to be a why, then it's going to be somehow be my fault. You know what I'm saying? It's going to
Not,
somehow
no,
be my
I don't
fault
agree
if it
with
turns
that.
into a why.
Okay. Yeah. But then again, so if somebody feels that way, then we need to find out why do you feel it was my fault? Because it's really usually going to come back to something else. There's a root cause to everything. And the root cause is usually within that person that cheated, even though they try to make it seem like it's on somebody else.
Yeah,
That's on somebody else. It's usually, from, because of that person or things that they've been through or things that they've, experienced or been through or whatever, whatever.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I got you.
but
No,
it's
and I
just,
understand that,
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Like why I don't really care what the reason is because like I said, eventually it's gonna come back to and even if you say some shit like, oh, it wasn't you, it was me, that still don't mean shit to me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I'm still not gonna be like, okay, well, as long as it wasn't me, okay, we can still be together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
I mean, I get what you're. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's just humans are intricate people, and there's
Everybody's different.
and I'm not willing to necessarily if I feel that I've been in an amazing relationship with somebody, I'm not willing to give it up just because they cheated. We need to talk. I need to know why. I need to figure out what's going on. Now it
So then,
may end up and we may end up, but we need
what
to.
would be a good reason for somebody to change you when you be like, okay, that was okay. If that's the case, and you're able to talk about it,
Mhm.
what would it be that they could say to you where you're like, I understand?
I mean, there's a million things. It could have been the way I was treating them. Maybe I thought I was treating them well. Maybe maybe it wasn't. That usually wouldn't be the root cause. So that's why I'm saying we need to talk because there are ways. Okay, most cheating comes down to trauma at some point. At some point, whether it be relationship trauma that you've been in, whether it be childhood trauma, whether it be sexual abuse, whether it be physical abuse from parents, whether it be because there's a root cause of to why somebody cheats. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how deep you want to get on this, but
Well, it could. Well,
there
that
needs
could
to
be.
be cause.
I was just saying it could be, and it could, like I said, it can
No,
also
no.
like it can be.
Every time somebody cheats, there's a root cause.
Well, I'm talking about the root cause. You were talking
Mhm.
about something within the person that's cheating, like
Yeah.
something that they went through. But like I said, it can. Some men always say like, "Hey," or women will say, "You just weren't home enough. Like you worked
Mhm.
all the time, and I wasn't satisfied sexually
Yeah.
or whatever. So I cheated." So that's nothing to do
But
with
that's
the
not the,
person who
but
cheated.
what I'm saying is that's what she's saying on the surface. That's not the real reason why. That's what I'm saying. That's
Or for
not the
example, or here
real
we go,
reason
or here
why.
we go, or even in a man's case, when he's like, I cheated because there's things sexually I've asked you to do that
Mhm.
you won't do, and another woman would do that for me to satisfy me sexually.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean the man's been through any trauma. It doesn't mean that he's been. It just means that sexually, the things that he desires, he's like, you weren't really giving it to me. We get along great in every other front. Everything else we get along with, but just sexually, you don't do the things that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's why I went out and cheated. And I feel like that's why some men
But
go get prostitutes.
that's still not the root cause. The fact that he wanted that, because to me, if you have everything perfect in a relationship, everything you ever wanted, but she won't do a few things you want sexually, so you go be with somebody else, that relate like I don't think that would really happen. I mean, that relationship wasn't really that good. Just think about it.
Well,
If you have
because sex
everything
is a very
perfect you
important
ever
part of a relationship.
wanted in a relationship, but there's a few things that she won't do sexually, you're going to go out and cheat on her and ruin that relationship.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't, but I'm just saying there's men that do. I'm just talking
I'm
about how
just saying.
you said. I was
Exactly,
just
but because there's more than just it's more than just the fact that she wouldn't do those things sexually. It's something obviously. Usually, that relationship is not that good to begin with. There's other things because if you're in a perfect relationship and your woman or your man won't do a couple things you like, if it really is a perfect relationship, you're not going to go out and cheat unless there's other root causes as to why you're cheat and you're using that as an excuse.
yeah. Too. I mean, it can be like it can, but and then so for me, like I said, I feel like that would be more from a woman cheating than it does from a man because, like I said, like it's just naturally men are 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 the chasers. We go and like we are the ones who go after it. We're trying to get it, and men are very visual, and so like it could be a situation where the man's probably maybe never even thought about cheating on his girl or anything like that, but an opportunity with some beautiful ass woman presents itself. You know what I'm saying? For him to be able to do something, and he might do it. Doesn't mean he probably loves his girl any less or anything like that. But he was
Mhm.
like, she had a fat ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? So do I think that,
But I'm
like,
still
so you
saying
that that's
that
trauma? Like that's some type of trauma or
there's
something?
no, I didn't say it was all trauma. I'm just saying
Yeah.
there's some usually there's still another reason why if you were in a relationship that you really liked and you really truly love this person and you chose to go be with this other one because she had a fat ass. Throw all that away, possibly because she had a fat ass. There's more than just she had a fat ass and I had to have it.
But
There's
cheating
something
cheating
else.
doesn't have to be that many years into a relationship. Cheating can be the first 3, 5 months of a relationship, right?
Mhm,
Could be the first year of a relationship where you don't quite love them yet. You guys are in a
mhm,
relationship and you're still cheating, but you're not
mhm.
in love yet. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so then is that also some type of underlying trauma issue or whatever the case may be? Like,
I guess
because
what I'm saying is that sexual promiscuity in general,
yeah.
usually not usually, there are always underlying issues as to why somebody is sexually promiscuous. Whatever those reasons are, there are always underlying reasons why someone is sexually promiscuous. Always.
So you think that it's natural, just as human beings, just down to the boiling down to human beings, that it's
Mhm.
natural for humans to meet somebody and only be with that one person for the rest of their life? Do you think
Absolutely.
that that's natural for humans to do?
That is not natural now. It's
Yeah,
natural from
no,
how we
just in
were
general,
created.
from the
For
beginning
how
of
we were
time.
from how we were created. Yes, that's how we were created. That's how it was designed to be.
You think that we were created to only be with one person for our whole life, sexually?
Yes. Yep. We were created that way.
Wow. So that's where we
Now,
like
now, and then I said, I don't know how deep you want to go, but when it comes to this,
like
we want to go down into that,
yeah, because that's deep. Like that's
God created Eve for Adam. That was one on
hold
one.
on, hold on, hold on,
That's
hold
how it
on.
was.
We're not gonna talk about his first wife.
What's that?
We're not gonna talk about Adam's first wife that didn't
Who's
work out.
who's Adam's first wife that didn't work out?
Lilith, his
Lilith?
first wife. He had a wife first. There
Hmm.
was a first. It was one before Eve, and then he made Eve out of the rib because Lilith was separate. She wasn't made out of his rib. She
Well,
was separate
we're saying, and where are you getting this information from?
in the Old Testament.
And so you're saying in the Bible it says that Adam
Yeah,
had a wife that was named Lilith?
No, it's lost scrolls.
yeah. It's oh, I'm sorry, Lost Scrolls, but yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah, but Old Testament stuff. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's spoken about before, about Adam having a wife before Eve, and then Eve didn't really work out, with Lilith, and so then he got one made out of his rib, you know. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I just feel like, and for me, if that was the case, if we were made to be that way, I don't feel like, even from back in the day, I don't feel like divorce rates would be so high if we were made that way. If we were made that way and it was supposed to be that way, divorce rates wouldn't be so high. But divorce rates have been high for a long time. It's not like it's a new thing that divorce rates are high. People have been getting divorced for years. Before social media, people got divorced at high rates, before those kind of things. So that right there tells me that there's something wrong when, you know what I'm saying? Like, if divorce rates are that high, there has to be something of some other reason, like, because if it was just meant to be, you wouldn't have divorce rates like that. Now, there are animals who choose one mate and are with them for the rest of their life. There's certain animals, penguins, that do that. Some penguins who pick one mate and they only have that one mate forever. It's never changed. It's not like now all of a sudden them penguins is sleeping with a bunch of different people, or the penguins get divorced. No, they're still together, And so if it was natural for humans to do that, it would be that way. But I don't think it is. I don't think it's just completely 100% just natural from the the human standpoint that we're all just supposed to be with one person for forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when it comes to women, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying a woman just has to be a virgin. No. You know what I'm saying? But it's when it starts to get out of hand. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. A woman don't have to be a virgin. Like, of course, she needs to have experience too, because if she doesn't have experience, more inclined to cheat on you later down the line. And I think that same thing with men. If a man doesn't have experience, he hasn't been with a few different women, and he just took, it's more inclined that later on down the line, he's probably going to cheat on you because he doesn't have that life experience. Like, you got to go out there and get that life experience so you know what you want, because, yeah, like.
But if you only have that one person to compare to, how do you know that there's something better? Now, granted, I know why now, but what I'm saying is we weren't designed the world that we live in now was not designed to be like this. We were designed to be in where we live off the land. You have your family, you have your home, you take care of family, you have your wife. There's not social media, there's not pornography, there's not prostitutes, there's not all this other stuff that you're exposed to show that there's, oh, somebody could do this for you, somebody could do that for you. That wasn't, it wasn't designed from that. So I'm just saying, I think a lot of the points that we take, because we're looking, let's look back 200 years, but we have thousands of years of human history that has changed over time.
Yeah, I got you.
So, like, what is expected now is different, is not what's expected at creation.
So if that's the case,
what I'm saying,
then if that was the case, then there would probably be, if it was naturally supposed to be that way, there would be an even number of men and women on the planet. Because if we look at it your way, like you said,
no,
that means that
how can you say that? Because when people, so I could be with one person and you could have 5 different people that all have 5 girls. That's automatically gonna make the ratio of women to male more. And then, and you gotta remember, you're still operating from a standpoint of how the world is now because of what's happened over time. What we were just talking about is, were we supposed to be like that, or were we designed like that? If we stayed like we were designed, then you wouldn't see all of that.
But then what I'm saying is that even if we stayed like we were designed, like you said, somebody could have 5 girls or 5. So that obviously wasn't in the design, because if it was in the design, then like I said, then it would be set up that way to where everybody would have somebody to match up with, because that's kind of a fucked up thing to be. Like you said, there's more women than men in the world. So if you matched up everybody with one person for the rest of their life, there'd be a bunch of women who wouldn't have nobody to match up with. So if it's by design, by a creator, and it's by design to be that way, then why would you have all these people who wouldn't even have nobody? You know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't have nobody. If you matched up every person with one person forever, then they would never have the experience of having a person ever. You see what I'm saying? Like, because of the ratio of population.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, like, I don't. Like I said, I don't. Of course, I don't feel like anybody should just be super promiscuous. Of course, man or woman, you should definitely, cherish your body more than that. I don't think men should just be going out and let me just sleep with every woman I fucking can. Like, there's diseases, there's tons of other things that can go wrong when doing that. But I'm just saying, when it comes down to what men and women value in a person, in a mate, you know, and you know, these in a hetero relationship, you know, like the man is going to value the woman being less promiscuous, and the woman's going to value the what a man can provide. And so that's why I believe the double standard exists, because if a woman wants to be a wife and wants to do that and wants to be with a man at the end of the day and wants to be with a good man, you know, then he's probably going to require those things from her, the same thing from a man. If he wants to be with a woman, a good woman, and say, she's probably going to ask for certain things. She's not going to allow you to just be whatever the fuck. She's going to want certain things. Okay, you need to provide, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm a good woman. I know what I bring to the table. This is what you need to bring. And so that's why I'm saying that that double standard needs to exist, because of the things that we value as men and women. Those two factors right there.
I still don't think it should exist. because people, because like I said, it exists because men want to be hoes. And
but if you say that we're designed that way, why wouldn't you believe that that should exist if you're saying that we're designed to only be with one person, and you're saying that, you know what I'm saying?
Because Cam, the world is not because once things changed and our direct relationship with God changed, that changed the whole world.
Yeah,
that changed everything. That changed everything. So everything that we're in right now is not what it was meant to be in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So it's just,
I understand that.
It just says, where do you want to look at? Do we want to look at things like over the last 100 years, or do we want to look at things from all of human history? So if we look over the last 100 years, you know, then we see why the world is like it is, and why there is a double standard, and why you say there. I still don't think there should be. I understand why there is a double standard. The question is, should there be? No. Yeah. I understand why there is, but there should.
So then you're right. So then also, if we go back to, like you said, to the beginning, where it was supposed to be designed for one man to be with one woman, if that was the case, the world wouldn't be that populated. The world,
it would have took a lot longer. Absolutely, it was designed that way.
It would be,
it wasn't designed to fill up as fast as it did. Absolutely not.
Yeah. But then also, if we go back to the end, so that means that if that's the case, if we started with just two people, then, you know, and we know that if you sleep with your family members, bad things happen genetically.
That's now. That's now, because we've grown way farther past perfection. If we would have never lost perfection, that wouldn't have been an issue.
So you're talking about just the very beginning, before Eve ate the apple or whatever the case may be. You're talking about that right there.
Yes, that's the beginning. That's what was designed.
So that means
everything after she ate the apple is not how humans were supposed to be.
So genetics didn't matter back then. So genetics didn't matter. It was just that didn't matter anything. DNA, genetics
did not matter.
Had nothing to do with anything.
Had nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
Because it was that we were operating from a perfect standpoint, and all the kids would have been perfect. Their kids would have been perfect. Their kids would have been perfect. No genetic defects. None of that.
Okay.
None of that.
Okay. But a whole lot of incest.
What's that?
Would have been a whole lot of incest.
That's a word that we created now, because we put a taboo on a brother and sister having it. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the brother and sister. And I believe brother and sister be having sex, but I'm saying it's changed because, of course, brothers and sisters are going to be having sex if you start off with only two people back in the day. So don't try to get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying.
He said we put a taboo on it. Since there's such a taboo
don't be trying to get me canceled. Don't be trying to get me canceled.
Oh, shit.
All right, man.
Hell yeah, Pop.
It was good talking to you, Cam.
Yeah, this is good. I'm gonna come up with some more topics next week. I'm gonna do something a little different. I got some other stuff. Maybe we'll go to some sports or something next week. I got some. All right. We'll do the GOAT debate.
Well, if we go into sports, then we definitely got to get me those topics ahead of time, because I need time to study and prepare and research. I can't.
You just got to know stuff.
No, I just can't be coming off the dome. No, that's the opinion when you're coming off the dome without facts.
Okay. No, but I got some.
When it comes to sports.
Yeah, I got some stuff. All
right.
Hey, episode Pop. Well, have a good day, man. I'm about to go have some dinner.
All right, man. All right, fam. Peace out. Catch you on the next episode.
Everything from X to Y. Yes, sir.